Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the AC478 Roundtable. I am Sasha Demian, for any of you who may not know me, the Executive Director of MBCEA. I would like to introduce Dan Halmy. He is the chair of our accreditation committee, and his company, Halmy Builders, has been AC478 accredited for over 7 years now. Jackie Maluda assists in program management for MBCEA and is the one that will meet with you as you prepare to apply for accreditation. And we are going to share in introducing the AC478 program to you. We usually have at least one new person on that may not be familiar with the accreditation. So we try to give a brief overview at the beginning of each of our roundtables just to bring you up to speed. So a majority of all metal building systems are supplied by manufacturers who are members of the MBMA. Now, the MBMA mandates that member companies achieve and maintain AC 472, which is an accreditation with an established criteria toward which each firm demonstrates that they have the personnel, organization, experience, knowledge, quality procedures, and commitment to fabricate in accordance with specified procedures.
However, until the introduction of AC 478, there was nothing similar that established a criteria for assemblers. So MBCEA members were looking for a way to differentiate themselves from the bad actors that are poorly trained, unsafe, but all too often the lowest bid. We recognize that when structures fail or people get hurt during assembly, the entire industry suffers. So this accreditation establishes an industry standard to identify those companies doing the right thing that are committed to safety, training, and quality. For the first time in history, manufacturers and erectors now have complementary accreditation programs for metal building projects that will help assure the highest quality commercial buildings.
AC 478 assures owners that erectors they have chosen follows a comprehensive quality-driven metal building assembly program that is assessed annually. To achieve AC 478 accreditation, companies must maintain the following: documented safety program and training program, a documented management system, on-site job site assessment, job site specific plans, annual internal audits and management reviews to ensure continuous improvement.
The program brings much needed rigor and discipline to a somewhat chaotic industry. But with all things new, there is some apprehension, and that is why we host these sessions and have put together a robust support system in the members only area and consultative support with Jackie. You don't need to be a member of the MBCEA to apply for accreditation, but only members get our support.
So I'm going to ask around here, make sure I know who the participants are, who you are, why you're here. Matthew Travis, can you unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Matt here at Rayco Builders. I just applied for the accreditation. What was that, 2 weeks ago? So I'm excited to finally get that ball rolling.
Awesome. Okay, I'm glad to have you here.
Matt joined us probably this time last year, and then he immediately made an appointment with me. We got him down the right path, and then you started overthinking it, like everybody else does.
Yeah.
We're cutting away, but now you're turned it in, so we're good to go.
Correct.
Good. How about Chad Anderson? Can you unmute yourself? And
Chad Anderson, Modern Building Solutions. I think I've actually stepped through this once, but we just need to get it going. I got a quote from them. Trying to figure out the paperwork side, what we need to have on our end as far as paperwork. I guess I'm kind of lost in that side of it. Yeah, we just want to have it to make ourselves different than everybody else around here who does not have it and set us apart. So,
yeah. Where are you located, Chad?
Kansas City.
Kansas City. Okay. How about Brants?
Hey, how are you?
Good. Who are you with, Brants?
I'm with, whoops, sorry, one second. I'm with Pacific Building Systems, just outside Portland, Oregon.
Okay. Welcome to this call. Hopefully you get something out of it. How about I got a phone number here, 16107097569.
That's me.
That's you. Okay.
There. Yep.
These, well, since you're kind of talking, go ahead and introduce yourself, Sarah.
Yeah, sure. Sarah Toth. I am actually president of the Mid-Atlantic chapter. Very excited to talk to everybody today. Just wanted to let everybody know, one of the things that we do here at MBCEA is definitely advocate for our training. I actually, along with Robert Tifton, who is our national president, attended one of our local AIA shows this week, the AIA Tri-State Fusion Conference in Hershey, PA. In attendance were architects, mostly from the Mid-Atlantic and New York region. But we were there talking to them about, why we're there, why we believe in the accreditation for the AC478. So just wanted to let everybody on this call know, we are pushing it into the architects to try to get it specified and to make it, not only that we believe in it, but we're actually fighting to get it into the specifications. So thanks.
Thanks, Sarah. And Sarah is also a member of the accreditation committee. So thanks for what you do, Sarah.
Sure.
So
Happy
let's
to
see.
be here.
Thanks. Mark Guys.
Yeah, hi. So I'm with S5. We're a manufacturer of metal roof attachments. So why am I here? So, we're in these organizations and, kind of have done, have had leadership positions in a lot of these organizations like MBMA, MCA, MBCA. And, I'm here just to see if our interests can align and, what involvement there could be for us or, just to keep on top of these, this stuff, basically.
All right. Thanks for your support, Mark. Let us know if you have any questions about the program as we go along.
Sure. Yeah, I've attended a few meetings.
Yeah.
But it's just good to keep on top of what's going on, I think.
Yeah, thank you. Lucas Saltzman.
Yes, hi. I'm with Pike Construction, C2C Construction. Mainly just attending to kind of get an overview of the requirements. We've talked about joining getting involved with AC478 for a while, and I'm just kind of trying to take the steps to actually go in a positive direction with it and get the ball rolling for our company.
Sounds good. Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of more accreditation committee members on, if I'm not missing anybody else, but Joe, would you like to introduce yourself? Are you there, Joe?
You're muted, Joe.
Perfect. It's probably better that way, right? Joe
Good
Allen.
speech, good speech.
Joe, don't let, I talk to him enough every damn day. I don't want to hear him in this meeting.
I'm a project manager and the safety and training manager for Thomas Phoenix. We've been around since the beginning of the AC478, and we're among the first to get accredited. So they asked me to stick around once in a while and ask some experience-related questions for that, having gone through that however many years ago it was. Jackie probably knows, 8 years ago, maybe.
It's been a while. Thanks for joining, Joe. We appreciate you. How about Jared? You want to introduce yourself, Jared?
You guys doing? Jared Turner, TVT Construction, Cleveland, Ohio, Butler Builder, Steel Erector, and we're working on our second full year of accreditation. So we're actually in the middle of our renewal process, kind of as we speak.
Thanks for joining, Jared. Tucker?
Yeah, how you doing? I'm Tucker Cope. We're a design build metal building contractor out of Northeast Ohio. We're just about the same boat as Jared is with AC478. We've been accredited for a year or so. Neither Jared are very huge companies as far as manpower, and we have about 25 in the field. So this AC478 is not to be a scary thing or something that only big companies can do. Most of the guys on here aren't huge companies. we use it a lot as a sales tool. We also teamed up with Thomas Phoenix and Sure Steel, all under the AC478 banner, to land a very huge metal building project that we're all working on together right now. And we use that AC478 as a very strong front banner. So it does set you apart. It does make you proud, and it's something great to put in your brochures and sell to architects and owners.
Yeah, thanks, Tucker. So today, we have
Dan, I'm going to interrupt. I don't know if you caught Aaron.
Oh, maybe I did. Aaron? Did I catch you already?
No, yeah. I'm Aaron. This is Brian. Klaus Construction, Northwest Ohio. We're a Butler builder. Kind of sat through a seminar at the Butler Convention last March, and we're kind of now just getting started the process. We thought maybe we'd slow down a little bit this winter and have more time to do it, but we ain't slowed down yet, but we're just going to start doing it.
Yeah, I understand. I appreciate you showing up, Aaron, and hopefully this will clear some stuff up about what to do and how to get there. But yeah, glad to have you.
Thank you.
So without further ado, our featured speaker this week has already been introduced, but I'll introduce her again. Jackie Maluda is going to go over the training requirements and the criteria and how to meet them. We always try to do a featured speaker to try to give some insight to some things, and we decided that it's relevant at this time to go over some training requirements. So Jackie, you're muted.
Oh, it's definitely better that way. Jackie, you're
Jackie, you're still muted.
Sorry. Am I? Okay, so let's
Start over.
all over again. Sharing my screen. So this is kind of directed at Chad, but all of you really. In the members only area, when you click here to access, the very first tab is AC478. And you've got a ton of resources, a step-by-step, all the documents you're going to need. This understanding the training requirement we're going to talk about today, but that's your first spot unless you call me first, and then we'll talk first and then we'll do that. But either way, so I just like to remind everyone that's there. So understanding the training requirement is so relevant regardless of whether or not you're doing AC478, because training is truly, in my opinion, what differentiates an MBCEA contractor and erector from the other guys. I'm sharing my screen, right, Sasha?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. And not only for AC478, but Sasha's getting calls all the time now because the states are starting to mandate apprenticeship programs, and they want to see that you have some sort of formal training program. So it all ties together, but whether you do training for just the good of your company or do training for AC478, we're going to talk about what's required in AC478. So there's not a lot of required elements, but you have to have a documented training plan. That training plan is going to say what you do, and then they are going to come and assess you. Are you doing what you say? And it can be anything. I do have a sample plan for you to look at, but it can be anything that's unique to your business, but it has to have a couple things. Once a year, you got to review the plan and say, is it still good enough? Did we buy some new equipment that now we need to update the training plan because all the guys have to get certified on how to use that new big machine we bought? Are we changing the way we build? We've never done IMPs before, but now we're starting to do more and more jobs with IMPs. So I want to add some IMP training to my mix. Once a year, look at the plan, make sure it's still appropriate, and then document that you reviewed it. And it's perfectly fine to say, no changes, plan is perfect. But once a year, you have to at least consider it. The plan has to have OSHA 10 for field employees with more than 1 year of service. It has to have passing grades on MBI quality and craftsmanship. Now, if you don't know what that is, shame on you. No. It's part of your benefits of membership. So the MBI is the sister program to the MBCEA. They developed in the early 2000s a very entry-level DVD type training program. It's now available online. You can watch it for free as part of your membership with MBCEA, either through that members only area that I showed you or direct through the MBI website. And Sasha and her team can walk you through how to do that. This says passing grade. So watching the videos are free. Taking the test is $10. So $10 per module per employee. So that is one of the expenses. And then your plan has to be written such that 25% of your field personnel qualify as a journey worker. So we don't want a bunch of untrained workers out there. We want trained workers. And so what does a journey worker mean? If you're a union shop or you're a company like Thomas Phoenix that has an open shop apprenticeship program, if they've completed a registered apprenticeship program, that ticks the boxes. You don't have to do anything else. But if you don't have a registered apprenticeship program, they have to give proof of 3 years experience in our industry, not necessarily with you, but in metal building assembly. Satisfactory completion of that MBI quality and craftsmanship training series that we just talked about. So that's already written into your plan. OSHA 10 also already written into your plan. And then some certifications, rigging, cutting torch and hot safety work, fall protection and hazards training, rough terrain forklift safety, and aerial work platform safety. So not a high hurdle for your experienced guys. If you're using MBI, if you're doing OSHA 10. So however your plan is written, you ultimately want to get to this spot. And I can email this out to everyone when I'm done, so don't feel like you have to take too many notes. So I'm going to go through what a sample training plan could look like, but keep in mind, this is my plan. Like, your plan can be anything you want it to be as long as it has those required elements. You can make it longer, you can make it shorter, you can make it very detailed about all the stuff that you want to teach them, like how they have to dress on the job site, where they keep their lunch. I don't know. Or you can keep it bare bones. And frankly, I would keep it a little bit more on the lean side, because whatever you put in the plan, part of the AC478 assessment process is they're going to randomly pick a couple of your guys on the job site, pull out your plan and say, you've been here 2 years. Okay, you should have this, this, and this. Prove it. And so, and bottom line is the goal for the plan is that you say what you do and you do what you say. Okay. So in my sample plan, new hires have immediate access to the MBI quality and craftsmanship training series in order to familiarize themselves with the train. We give them access to watch the videos. It shows them how to dress on the job site. It shows them how to behave safely. It shows them what things are called, what tools are called, part of your orientation. Then once they've completed, their first 6 months or so, I'm going to start giving them driving safety, fall protection, fall hazard safety, connector safety, global harmonized system, field assembly training, and control deck safety zone. Now, again, this is my plan. You can adopt it as is, or you can tweak it for yourself. Then within their first year of service, so that prior slide was after 6 months, now within their first year, I want them to test on the MBI quality and craftsmanship series and take OSHA 10. And then over their first few years, in addition to the training we just discussed, we're going to require those certifications, that they achieve the certifications listed here. so that I'm now proving that I have these journey workers. And then for my foreman, I want them to have OSHA 30, first aid, CPR, and AED. So that's a sample training plan. Now I have that as a Word document. I have it as a PowerPoint, and you can add it, modify it however you want. You also need to make these statements that all personnel have the necessary education, formal training, certifications, and experience required for their specific job duties and as required by the manufacturer or vendor. Sort of a boilerplate statement, but we all know that someone shouldn't operate a piece of equipment or install a specialized piece of the building if the manufacturer of that piece of equipment or that piece of material requires some further training on it. So they got to do that. And then in addition to the technical training that we've talked about, we're going to also train all of our employees in our safety program. So we want them to be safe, and we want them to be well-versed in the equipment and the products that we use. It's as easy as that. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see all your smiling faces. Stop sharing. And take your questions. Joe and Dan, Jared, Tucker, they all have documented training plans. So David Fay has joined us as well from Briner. So feel free to ask any of us.
Any questions out there? Go ahead.
I was going to ask, just curious. I mean, you in your PowerPoint presentation, you kind of listed the items, but I assume that the actual plan is a few pages long with further description as to how each are being applied, or is the simple bulleted list of your plan all that really is looked for?
Dan, I'll throw that one to you.
Yeah, I can answer that. So it really is as simple as what she put out there, Lucas. It's it needs to be either I've seen it several different ways. It could be added to the template. We talked about the resources available. We have a template management system. Often people are just putting this on their within their management system. Just they add the nomenclature that's required so it can be referenced, and basically there's a cross matrix or a cross-reference matrix that has to be looked at. But bottom line, it can be added right into your management plan. It doesn't have to be a separate document, and just those bullet points is enough to be assessed off of. The bottom line is now, what does it mean to meet that? And if you say OSHA 10 after the first year of service, that means actually you need to be doing that within that first year. You can't take and go, hey, they've had their first year of service, now we're going to go get them OSHA 10. You're going to be assessed on that day that came to be. And if you have people that are not meeting that, now you have something that needs to be fixed. It doesn't mean that you don't pass, because it's not a pass or a fail assessment, but it needs to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of goes with a lot of the training here. Overall, OSHA 10 is one of the things that highlights the issue. But once you say that you're going to do this, under the program, it will be assessed off of that. And there will need to be corrections if you fall short of that.
Mm-hmm.
What you don't want to do is start adding a bunch of language and put it part of your management system document, and then also have to be assessed on that. And then you fall short on something that isn't even required by the criteria, but is required by your management system. Once you put, I think Jackie mentioned that already, once you put this into place, you have to do what you say you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So be aware, a bunch of extra additional detail may help you implement it within your company, but you might want to have that outside of your management system so you don't get too confused with that.
Sure.
When it comes to assessment.
And then, Lucas, I would add certainly some language about how you store records, whether you pay for the employees' time while they're doing their training or whether they don't get paid. You know, some people just offer a stipend when they complete a certification. So, I mean, as part of running your business, you can add as much as you want, but as far as the IAS is concerned, it's as simple as that. Now, all those things link to something that would look like either a certificate, a wallet card, a certificate, or even an attendance record. Like if you did safety training on your company safety plan, maybe you just have a sign-in sheet that day. But when the IAS comes and they want to know for these three workers that they've just randomly picked, somehow you're going to have to access those records that you can prove all those details about those three workers.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You bring up a great point, Jackie, and I think I should expound on this a little bit, is within your systems, it doesn't have to be within the management system, but within your processes that you have internally, you want to build some sort of a manageable spreadsheet or matrix that you can count all your people, all their names, their experience, both the experience that you have as an employee and the experience they have outside of that, whether they meet the criteria to be a journeyman, all their training that go alongside of that it's up to date and current. So in other words, if you have a journeyman, but his forklift training is gone expired, he's no longer a journeyman because he doesn't keep up. So to have that 25%, you need to be watching this stuff. And then if there's an assessment, you can show this whole list of things and say, hey, this is all the stuff and it's all up to date. It really streamlines that process and makes it much more efficient, not only for the assessment, but for your own record keeping and understanding that you got your stuff together. So you build this spreadsheet, and then some people have linked this stuff together real well, either in the spreadsheet or outside the spreadsheet, that they can go to each employee and they have all this information at their fingertips, that if you need a forklift cert, that you can actually just pull open that guy's name and his forklift cert's there. So it just makes it easier for you. And a lot of people have done this without even accreditation, because trying to manage 50 people and all their certifications and accreditation, I mean, certifications on forklift and whatnot can be very difficult to do. So this is helpful for your company, but when it comes to assessment, you're really going to want to see something in there. Oh, there, we got one right there.
So
I was going to ask Joe to pull up his sheet.
I went back in history, and this is from September 19th of 2016, which I'm going to guess was the first time that I put this sheet together. And I have just an Excel spreadsheet. The red would mean that these things were overdue. And obviously this was when I was first filling this out with our guys and entering their training. And in more modern ones, I just blacked out the names over here. In more modern ones, I can actually link directly from any one of these into their folder to pull up that training. And these are just dated conditional formatting that turns red if it's bad. In all honesty, almost every year, I've got a red spot on there somewhere. And that's a corrective action. And it's kind of a kick in my butt to make sure that guy gets that training that he needs, because I'm not official until I complete that. So it's not something that you have to, you don't need to like worry about, oh my God, I'm going to fail if there's a red spot on the training list. But this shows the things that are in our, across the top here, shows the things that are in our mandatory training program. And there are a couple more because it's evolved since 2016. But this is showing where the guys were when I started filling this out and actually entering this into a manageable thing. So for me, it's as simple as a spreadsheet. When I do it, I scan the training, I put it in their folder, I throw a date and a link on here, and done. And then at the end of the year, I really just have to show them this. And it shows what I have done. If they want to see a specific cert from somebody to spot check it, I can click the link and email it right to them. So it's a pretty simple process that way.
And is on the the MBCEA website with the templates, is there a boilerplate list of the trainings that are required as like the starting block, and then you can add from there?
Set up in a spreadsheet like that?
Not in the
No,
spreadsheet, more or less
there's a
just,
minimum, there's a
just
minimum
list.
listed in the standard, the
Yeah,
minimum
okay.
things that you need to accomplish. And, you know, it's more than just a sticker next to your name. It's supposed to be used as a tool to improve your own training processes and your
Yeah.
people. So you add whatever you feel appropriate to that, but theoretically, yeah, you can just go bare minimum. If things don't apply, you know.
Yeah. Well, I just figure it's a starting point to make sure I at least capture what's required, and then we have several. I mean, these guys are with the Pike organization. We have several other trainings that happen throughout the year, and company-wide safety events and stuff like that. So that all could be registered on there. Not to
Yeah,
mention the other trainings.
for me, it's the same thing. It's you take that minimum and other things that you know that you want to add. And like I said, that yearly evaluation is the kick that you need to make sure you're actually doing it, right?
Sure, sure.
And then I just want to add, and I mean, not everyone is as computer literate as Joe. And people use different types of systems. Like I know Dave Lineback does everything through Procore. So the IES doesn't mandate a system. You can use paper if you want, and but what Joe has organized in that spreadsheet makes it easy for him to see whose training is expired, who's past due, who's coming up, so like maybe you have a rainy day and you pull out the sheet and say, all right, today we're going to do this. But the IES doesn't mandate any of those systems as long as you can produce the information that they need. They'll look at it however you produce it.
Okay.
And most
question.
people find as they go through AC478, they had good systems, but it was all up here. And,
Right.
We knew we wanted to train our guys. We knew we wanted to give them this, we wanted to give them that. But until you actually start making those lists and checking them twice, you don't remember or realize how many of those, on Joe's case, how many red spots you have, because has 3 years gone by already, or, so.
Yeah.
Another piece of the program that comes in play here is relevant to this whole checklist, or not checklist, but just trying to check and make sure your training is up to date, is there is a management system review that you do internally. And IAS, or the accreditation criteria, requires that that's done at least annually. And you can do it as many times as you want, really. I mean, as long as you do it at least annually. But you go through this stuff and you make sure that you're up to speed. So then when your assessment does come around, you guys are all it's gonna be in play. I mean, it's gonna be good. So if you set this into your company and say, hey, I mean, we want to look at this quarterly or even biannually, or something that looks at it ahead of time. So when the assessment does roll around, you're not surprised. It's like, wow, we haven't looked at this spreadsheet since last time we got assessed. It just is a piece that goes into that. So looking at what your training records are it does fall back on the assembler company to go ahead and look at those and get prepared for what their assessment's going to do.
And then I just want to keep emphasizing, whether or not you pursue AC478, the rigor for your company of documenting and enforcing your training program is such a good first step. It will make you stronger in the long run, because there's always training that slips through the cracks, or training that is good to do, but you just haven't found time to do it. But once you say you're going to do it, then you do that check. And then there are more and more states that are requiring apprenticeship. And that training program that I just showed you, coupled with on-the-job training, which I know you're all doing, is an apprenticeship program.
So we have like 3 divisions. We got an ironworker division, a carpenter division, and a concrete division. So if our carpenters and our concrete division ain't really a part of this, how do we break away if they come and do an assessment? How do we differentiate the divisions?
So I have a similar situation in my company. I've been accredited for 8 years or 9 years, whatever it's been. We dealt with that in our management system. We actually just call it a task force, and we only have certain people within our company that work with metal buildings. They're the only people that are assessed on that. We share that with the assessor at the outset when they come in. We just break out those portions. They don't look at any of the training requirements for those portions of the business. So we run a separate spreadsheet for our metal building guys. It looks a lot like Joe. That doesn't include our concrete guys and our carpenters and whatnot. We actually do earthwork and whatnot too. So
Yeah.
we do all that training just for simplicity for assessment. We run those separate.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate that.
And then when they come to your job site and they randomly pick out 4 guys to dig further into, you're going to make sure that they're only picking out your metal building assembly guys, that, you know, if your concrete guy's there, he's not part of this team.
Right. Gotcha. That makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, we list all of our members that are part of the program. So it's clear that they're either metal building journeymen or metal building laborers. And that's the only ones that get applied to the program when they look at it. So. But just be aware, I think it was you, Lucas, that asked the question, but whoever it is, it doesn't matter. This will improve your whole company. By taking this approach, taking this detailed approach and training and everything else, you'll just roll a lot of this stuff in and do that with your carpenters and your concrete guys, whoever it might be. You'll find that this attention to training is so valuable that you'll take this on and do it everywhere. And that's what has happened to us. It's improved our whole company and our outlook to training and safety just because we've taken this on for accreditation. Once you start going through all that stuff, you're like, hey, we'll use this everywhere. We're not just using this just only for the accreditation purpose. We're using this because it's good practices in business.
Yep.
Right. And the systems, the things that you need to track for your accreditation, regardless, whoever you task with tracking that kind of stuff they're going to find the easiest way to do it. It's what we do, right? And so we're using that to track things that are not required, like TWIC cards and New York Site Safety Training and other stuff like that. So the evolution of the systems that we implemented was a little tough at first to figure out what's the best way to organize all this so that it's not taking up much of my time. And it really doesn't. Once you get rolling, once you get through that accreditation process, it's just following up on the systems that you put in place. You're always welcome to change them. And a lot of times it doesn't even mean that you have to change it in your management system. You can just add on to it and use it for other stuff. They're not going to evaluate that other stuff that you add in there. So if I put on that spreadsheet all the other stuff that I am tracking, that really doesn't apply to them. It's still a system that I can use to show them what I need to show them, but also to improve my ability to track and manage the trainings and certifications that the guys need to have.
And just to restate what Joe just said there, just to be sure everybody's clear. If he does a special job, whether it's for a unique industry, like I know they've done some pharmaceutical work, or in a highly regulated state like New York, and they add extra training for that job, that doesn't mean they've changed their training plan. The training plan that the IAS is still considering is the base training plan. Those extra pieces were job specific, and so they applied to the crew that he assigned to those jobs. And now those guys have those extra certifications or training. But he's not accountable for those pieces to the IAS because he didn't change his company-wide training plan.
One of the things that does come into play that just to be aware of, if you do some welding, and as metal building erectors, we know that from time to time, we agree with the manufacturer to fix something that they screwed up, and we're out there welding. That does require that you have current welding certificates for the welding that they're going to be doing. And to keep that welding certificate up, there needs to be a log. So you can't just take a welding test and then 5 years later, go out and weld this clip that was in the wrong spot. So you have to do continuous welding and keep the log up. And that will be looked at if the field assessment goes out and IAS shows up and they see a guy out there welding and he's not certified. And the documents clearly call out for, the manufacturer's documents clearly call out for certified welders. So just be aware there could be pieces that they're not in the program, but they're requirements because the manufacturer says they're requirements. And that's one of the things, there's specific language in the program that you will follow the manufacturer's explicit instructions to a T. I mean, basically that's, you're not going to deviate from and just take it on yourself and either, you know, cut or weld or do anything different to the structural steel than what the manufacturer says you can do. So sometimes people can look at that as being like impinging their program or whatever, but you know, we do that, we follow it, we get written instructions from the manufacturer. It actually is just good business practice. We're not taking anything on ourselves. We're not the engineer. In other words, we don't want to just start cutting base plates. We don't want to start doing stuff that's not been directed for us to do.
Couple questions. How does it, after we go apply for application, how long before we need to have all the paperwork in place? And then beyond that, say we're working with 10 of our guys out in the field and we've got 3 temp guys out there. What do they say about that if they show up and we have some temp guys that aren't our certification?
I'll start, and then the rest of you accredited guys, if you want to add to what I answer. Typically, you want to get your paperwork organized. Doesn't have to be perfect, but organized before you apply for a quote. So Matt, Travis is a good example. He was like, I'm almost there. And I was like, well, then pull the button, start the process, because the IAS, you know, they're pretty lean and it might be a few weeks before they get to him. So he's applied now 2 weeks ago. They haven't asked him yet to submit his copy of his management system, a copy of his whatever, his insurance certificates and all those things that you do initially. So it depends on how much pressure you want to put on yourself. Most people, most companies, they want to have their paperwork in order before they apply. So the process is you go to the IAS website, you hit request a quote, you answer their questions. They're going to ask you for their money because everybody wants their fees up front. And then they assign you to an assessor. And over the next couple of weeks, he'll start asking you for an electronic review of your documents. And that process might take 90 days. Back and forth, you'll set up a Dropbox or you'll just email him stuff, or it'll just be one dedicated Zoom meeting where they look at everything with you. After they feel your paperwork is in order, they schedule the job site assessment. Now, your question specifically was about the use of temporary labor or subcontractors. And the criteria has 2 clauses that address that. One is if you use temporary labor, so just a few extra guys to round out your team because of you're spread thin, you need to have procedures in place to hold them to the same standard as your training program. Now, you could call them all new hires, so they only are getting your bare bones training, but you still have to have some procedure in place that you're holding them to a training standard. And then if you're going to sub out a significant portion of the work, and the criteria is as vague as that, a significant portion. So I always use the example of maybe you never do the roofing. You always sub out to a dedicated roofing guy. It's okay to do that as long as you're honest and upfront with whoever hired you to do the job. So if you've won the bid based on the fact that you're accredited, we then do not want you to use non-accredited subcontractors unless you declare that. So it's not that you can't do it. It's all about open and honest communication.
Right. So technically, you want to. We use a constant sub. It keeps us under 50 guys, so the corporate rules are not whatever. And it'll range from, he'll have 6 to 15 guys at any given time. If they are directly supervised and most of the crew is our own, and we put 2 or 3 guys from the sub on any job, it's not really a big deal. They are trained to the same standards as our employees. If you were to hire somebody for one job and the job is less than 6 months or whatever the first criteria is, then you only have to have them trained for whatever your first 6 months says. If they've already got it, you just put that in the file and that's the end of the story. You don't really need to worry about it much more than that. If you're using consistent subs like we are, in our case, they're around for years at a time. They need to follow the trainings that we've outlined in our management system. It is rare for us to ever put those subs alone on a job, but if we were to do that, then we would just, in writing, say to Tucker, hey, Marcelo's crew is going to put up this job, and Marcelo's going to be the foreman and our guys aren't going to be there. And we've notified him. And that's just to avoid that a customer doesn't think they're getting a fully accredited company to do the work, where they awarded you the job because of your accreditation, and then you go ahead and sub it out to somebody totally different with no supervision from your own company that's putting the whole building up. That would be deceptive.
And it's to protect you as well, because you're an elite bunch. There's only a small number of companies that have achieved AC478 accreditation. So you don't want someone to come in and get that mark and then sub out all their work with untrained, unsafe crews. Then all they've done is taken advantage of the brand AC478, but they're no better than the companies we're trying to compete against. So it's there to protect you as well as to keep you honest.
Correct. One other point to make, and I think it's, I guess, relevant, is that if you do bring somebody on that's temporary labor, you got to make sure that their certifications for any equipment or anything are up to speed. You can't have them up on an aerial lift if they're not trained under an aerial lift. So that falls into place whether or not you're accredited. If OSHA comes and you have people up in an aerial lift, you're still going to have responsibilities for that. So under the program, if you were on your assessment day and IAS was out there doing a field assessment and you had 3 guys that were temporary labor, not an issue as long as your program addresses that with the procedure that Jackie's referring to. But then they're not certified in certain things. That's going to be an issue. So just keep that in mind. Also, keep in mind it's not. Go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, Dan, that all by itself is outside of the IAS. That's an OSHA rule anyway. You can't throw someone not trained to do a task that they've not been trained on the hazards and how to mitigate them. So,
correct. I was going to say another point to this though is be aware, and I think I've mentioned it already, but again, even if it comes to a training issue or something, this is not pass or fail. The assessment, you're going to be, it's going to be noted. There's going to be a response that's going to be required from the assessed company, but it doesn't all of a sudden throw your whole program out and you got to start over or waive your fees or anything else. It just means that, hey, it's noted that the way you're dealing with this is not correct. So now you're going to have to take some action and correct it. Is there any other questions? We have a little bit of time here. A lot of times we have Sasha show us where we can find the membership resources. I know Jackie already showed that a little bit, but maybe we want to reiterate that.
Yep, I have a few more to show as well. So I'll jump in here while people are thinking about any of their questions. And we'll have some time at the end as well. So Jackie did show you at the beginning, when you log into your account, you go to the members only resources, you're going to land on this page. And AC478 accreditation is the first one. The accreditation resources is what she showed you already. That's pretty much everything you need to apply for accreditation. Jackie, also while I'm showing, can you put your email address in the chat, please?
I will.
And then back on the members only resources in accreditation. We also have resources for once you are accredited and ways to market yourself. Brochures for building officials, brochures for architects. So we have both of them here so that you can use those and provide them to both of those entities to educate them about accreditation and what that means. We also, as Sarah was speaking about how we as MBCEA and we team up with IAS and we go to AIA conventions and the IAS presents to AIA chapters. We're constantly trying to educate architects about accreditation. And so the IAS has also provided that specific AIA presentation that you can do yourself. And this button here takes you to Dropbox, to that PowerPoint with some instructions on how you can edit that to make it branded for your company and you as the presenter. And then you can do lunch and learns for architects as well. So that's the stuff for accreditation there. And then besides, just another quick note, under architect resources, when you're speaking with architects, there also are other AIA presentations that the MBMA allows us to present that also are approved for CEU courses. And we've got all the resources here as well. So that's some of the things. The other items that I wanted to go over are some of the things that we will do for you once you are accredited. We will draft a press release for you and send it to you so that you can fine tune it, send it back to us. We'll send it out to the magazines, provide it back to you so you have a ready-made press release when you become accredited. You are also able to have a featured listing in the member directory. If you ever visit the member directory and you wonder why it's not alphabetical, the landing page will always have accredited members. You get first showing, first visibility for every filter, every search, and even just the general landing page. Several of the fields that you fill out on the back end show up here as a featured listing that don't show up for other members. So for example, if I click on Heimberger, you'll see she's added an organization overview, a bunch of pictures. When you go into some others, it's got their Facebook feed. So you get a lot more visibility on the MBCEA website and on the homepage as well. When you scroll down on it, the accredited members logos are sliding across the homepage. So we really try to do a lot to up the visibility and give accredited members recognition for who they are and what they've done. And not to mention, at our annual conference, you get to come to a fun little happy hour that we have in the president's room. So we do that as well. So just a couple of fun things, resources for you and ways that we try to recognize and help with the education.
All right, thank you, Sasha. Is there any further questions that anybody might have? Either from Sasha's presentation or anything Jackie or we went through?
You're muted, Jack.
Oh.
My dog was like snoring in the background. I just want to reiterate to the people that are thinking about it. Do call or email me. We'll do a Zoom. You can have whoever you want from your company on your end. It'll be me on my end. And we'll go through the criteria line by line and how it applies to you and what that means. And then you'll say, oh, we already do that. And I'm good. We don't do that. And then I'll connect you on the members only area of where you can find a cheat sheet to do that one thing that you're not doing. So
One of the things I'd like to remind people, the biggest hurdle is just getting started. If you're looking at this and you're saying, hey, we really just need to make this happen, or we can make this happen, realize the biggest problem you have sitting in front of you is just putting it on the back burner. It'll never happen on the back burner. You have to move it and get it going. So
You said you're going to share your email address there, Jackie?
It's in the chat.
in the chat, if you
Okay.
click on the chat, yeah. We'll give everybody a minute to make sure they got access to the chat before we close this roundtable down for this time.
And then Britton will also send out an email to all of you with the recording from today in case you are interested in watching it again. It is always put also in that AC 478 section in the member resources, all the past roundtables, and also Jackie's presentation that she went over with the training. We'll make sure you all get that as well.
Yeah, so as long as you don't stop it from allowing you to get started, you can always go back and watch all the recorded roundtables as well, and you might find some things in there that are helpful for you. But yeah, don't analyze it to death. Just keep going. So I appreciate all of you, and I think at this point we can conclude this roundtable. Have a good day, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye.